push up your lighter. How's it going, everyone? It's Artifact, and I have a cool couple of tips with Vital for you guys today. Let's have a little listen to this patch. If you look back to a previous video I did, I made this kind of didgeridoo bass, and I've been editing it in a context of a song, and I wanted to make it more interesting, and I applied a couple of random kind of modulations, and it ended up sounding pretty wicked. So let's have a little listen to the sound. And the actual pitch of it in the song would be this. So there's a lot of movement in there, and I want to talk about this kind of fluttering effect that I've got going on. So what we did in the first video is we just threw in a didgeridoo sample, which was made for my friend Freedon, and it's actually made with his mouth, and it just kind of sounds like this. This is with a bunch of processing on already, just some kind of saturation and that kind of stuff. Anyway, we throw it in the wavetable section as well. And this is the section that we're going to use to create this really quite complex fluttery effect. But there's a couple of other oscillators as well, which is the sine wave and a kind of triangle wave, which add like that real low end bass to the sound, which is quite tasty for a Monday. And yeah, this kind of fluttery effect, how we've done this then is we've modulated on LFO the wavetable position, and it's cycling through this kind of sample at such a random kind of speed. And then we're also going to be modulating this through the stereo button here, or the stereo knob on the LFO, and this creates some kind of weird and interesting left and right panned stereo effects to the sound. And if I were to bypass this, for example, that's just the sound as it is without the kind of modulation we've got going on here. So just by placing an LFO onto the position here, so let's reactivate that. You can see it starts to, it has a lot of this kind of weird kind of fluttery movement, which is a nice kind of effect on top of the bass. And if I mute this guy here, you can see we have the same effect still, but what I've done is on this LFO, which is controlling this effect and sort of turning it on this, I've applied an LFO on the stereo knob here. And that's causing this stereo movement to happen purely in this kind of fluttery effect. And I can change the speed of the effect here as well. But what's so interesting is the fact that it's happening at such a random frequency intervals. The fluttery effect is happening so randomly that it just gives us like a lot of opportunity to create like new kind of random grooves or interesting sections that we wouldn't possibly be able to design ourselves that easily. And then once I've applied a filter after this as well, which sort of comes in and comes out. And that kind of gives like an extra level of movement. So we're kind of filtering in and out this kind of crazy random fluttering effect. And like in the context of a song then, how would you, get this to make a bit more sense? Well, simply what I would do is I would just bounce out some of these versions that sound the ones that sound interesting as they are. So I might do a couple of different speeds and bounce them out. Maybe we could play with the stereo kind of amount here as well. If I go back to this guy here. So we get these really kind of nice random little fluttery bits to the sound. And I've gone and bounced this out, and I've made a kind of loop of audio, and I've just bounced out two of my favorite versions, and then I've just chopped in and out between the different versions to create a kind of loop that I was happy with, which sounds like this. So you can see this top one here, I've got a kind of faster flutter, and then this bottom one is a bit more kind of steady and stable. So I can introduce a little bit of the fluttery kind of effect, you know, as and where I want it throughout the track to create, you know, emphasis in these certain areas and create a nice and interesting texture for sound design. Yeah, I think it's definitely a wicked idea to, you know, resample sounds as always. That's why I love Vital, because we can resample samples and blend them together. And then, yeah, I was really surprised when I kind of played with this stereo effect on this position here, and it created this kind of random movement. And that's really nice when that happens, because it was something that I wasn't trying to create or expecting, and it just started, you know, to give me interesting grooves that I wouldn't have been able to come up with myself. So I think that's really wicked when that happens. And then, you know, just bounce the stuff out to audio so you don't lose it as well. And yeah, then you can kind of start to make sense of the groove. You know, once you've created these random movements, then you try to sort of redefine them and chop and change them to fit with your song. So yeah, I hope that's a helpful tutorial for you guys, and have a lovely day. Peace.